Hi, my name is Cindy Chamberlain, and I am a senior at Kennesaw State University. And actually, I will graduate this May. And this is one of the last classes that I'm taking before that graduation. And so I wanted to share with you something that's been very important in my life, and that is personal development. When we were given this assignment, we had a choice between a speech that persuades or a speech that instructs. But I hope that this speech today, or this presentation, will actually inspire you. Now, in this presentation, there will be some persuasion. And in this presentation, there will be some instructions on how to live a better life. And I hope that I can inspire you here at the end of my time in school. I hope that what I can bring to you will help you become a better person. My mentor is this gentleman here, Jim Rohn. Unfortunately, he died in 2009. But the great thing is that all of his books and all of his CDs and all of his speeches and his ideas are out there for you to get. Now, everything that you see in this presentation today, all of the ideas and everything that I tell you comes from Jim Rohn. So actually, what I'm doing is teaching you what he taught me. And the fact that you can go out there after you hear this speech or this presentation, you can go out and you can get his books and you can get his CDs. And maybe he can change your life like he changed mine. All right, so I think that personal development will maximize your life potential by developing your talents and your skills and contribute to the realization of your dreams and your aspirations. Because you see, if we have dreams, but we have no action to those dreams, they're just a dream. Or if you have dreams and you don't know how to implement them or how to make a plan or where to find the inspiration for them, then they'll always just be a dream. So what we're going to do today is we've already done the greeting. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. I'm going to tell you about where inspiration comes from. And then I'm going to give you an overview of the book that changed my life, that Jim wrote. And I'll tell you about that book a little bit later. All right, so my story goes like this. It started back in 1959. So just so you don't have to do the math, that makes me 57 years old. And I had a kind of a normal childhood, although I had this one challenge right here. Now, my parents were, interestingly enough, my father was Jewish and my mother was Christian. So we celebrated every holiday. We had Passover and we had Christmas. And we learned two different religions. And what I learned from that is that really they're both the same. But my father was a traveling salesman, and he sold Bulova watches. And he had a huge area to cover. He had the state of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. And so what he would do is we would move someplace, and my dad would open up or get customers in that area that he would sell. And then once they became customers that were constantly ordering, we would move somebody someplace else so he could open up another area. Well, what that did is I went to multiple schools. Now, I'm not saying multiple schools like, you know, from first grade to 12th grade, I went to 3 schools. I'm talking about a new school every single year. I'm talking about a new school. One year we went to school, 3 different new schools in 1 year. We went from schools that were really good to schools that were really bad. What that did for my education and for me personally, not much. I am a terrible speller. I'm awful at math. I don't even know how I got through half the classes. I have no childhood friends. And really, I really have memories of just moving. We never stayed anywhere long enough for there to be an establishment or any kind of roots put down. We never lived in a house. We were always in apartments. And that left me with a challenge of always being the new kid in school. I was teased a lot. My natural personality is to be a loner. And because of us moving, that pushed me further into being alone. Somebody who sat and observed as opposed as participating. And I was never in sports because I was never there long enough. I wasn't in the band. I didn't have any connection to any school. As a matter of fact, the school that I graduated from, I only went there for 6 months. So graduation, I didn't even go to graduation. I never went to prom. I didn't know anybody to go with, right? So that was just been a big challenge for me to overcome. And part of overcoming that started when I met Jim Rohn, or when I was first introduced to his trainings. And so I hope that you can see, I know everybody has something to overcome. Everybody has issues and challenges in their life. But there's ways to move past that, right? There's ways to become, what's the word? I don't want to say successful, because successful sometimes has to do with money. But there's ways to become fulfilled and to live a great life and get the treasures of life, not the trinkets, but the treasures, the parts of life that really mean something, that make you outstanding, that set you apart from the others. And that's what I hope I can teach you today. All right, so this is the book I was telling you about, right? It's Jim Rohn, The 5 Major Pieces of the Life Puzzle, and how to develop a strong personal philosophy. Now, a lot of people don't know what a personal philosophy is, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about philosophy. We're going to talk about your attitude and how that kind of frames up your philosophy. We're going to talk about the activity that needs to be done, and we're going to talk about the results that you can see and the lifestyle that you can live. All right. So Jim Rohn says we have 2 choices in this world. Only 2, right? Not a bunch, just 2. So each of us has 2 distinct choices to make. What will we do with our lives, right? What are you going to do with your life? Have you ever thought about that? A lot of people don't even think about it. They just go day by day, step by step, and never really think about what their life is or what they're going to do about it. So the first choice we can make is to be less. To be less than we can, to have less than we can, to have the capacity to be, to earn less, to have less, to read less, to think less, to try less, to discipline ourselves less. These are the choices that lead to an empty life. So let's go through them one more time, right? The first choice we can make is to be less than we have the capacity to be. To earn less, to have less, to read less, to think less, to try less, and to discipline ourselves less. That is the choice of an empty life. And these are the choices that once made lead to a life of constant apprehension instead of a wondrous life of anticipation. Right? So if you make these choices, this is where it's going to lead you. Now the second choice is to do it all, to become all that we possibly can, to read every book that we possibly can, to earn as much as we possibly can, to give and share as much as we possibly can, to strive and produce and accomplish and be all that we can. Does this take a little bit more work? Of course it does. But the rewards that you'll reap will be beautiful, will be wonderful, will be a life fulfilled, not a life lived at a mediocre level. Not a life that when it's almost over you have regrets. The greatest thing in life is to have regrets, to not have done what you could have, to not have been who you should have, to not pass down this knowledge to others once you receive it. Where does inspiration come from? Well, inspiration can come from books. That's why Jim talks about reading the books. It's the book you don't read, the book that you miss, that can have the most impact. And I'm not talking about reading books like romance novels. We're talking about reading books that make a difference. Maybe books about history, maybe books about psychology, books about family, books about love. Somebody else's story. Maybe my story will be powerful enough to move you to have your own story. Jim Rome's story moved me. You see, Jim had a mentor, and Jim's mentor told him to make a list of all the problems he had in his life. And Jim made this list and he handed it back to his mentor. And it's these words that changed my life. Because his mentor said to Jim, there's something wrong with your list. And Jim said, no, there's nothing wrong with my list. I put everything on my list that's, a problem, issue, a challenge in my life. And his mentor said, Jim, you didn't put yourself on that list. And that changed my life. Hearing those words, you didn't put yourself on that list. Because I never thought about that. It never came to me that I should be at the top of my list. Because my problems are going to stay the same until I can change. Only I can change my issues. Not the government, right? Not my parents, not my husband. Me. I have to change inside to become more. Some people say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. You'll never get a different result if you don't change. And then you can also get inspiration from your friends. And I know some people who have been inspired by songs. So wherever you get your inspiration, just look for it. It's there. You'll find it. So philosophy, let's talk about philosophy, right? Okay, so philosophy is how we think and how we respond. Has a greater capacity to destroy our lives than any challenges we face. Let's say that again. How we think and how we respond has a greater capacity to destroy our lives than any challenges we face. How quickly and responsibly we react to adversity is far more important than the adversity itself, right? Once we discipline ourselves to understand this, we will finally and willingly conclude that great challenges of lives is to control the process of our own thinking. Our own thinking. You have to be able to control what you're thinking. You have to be conscious of it. You don't, just because you're in a group of people and one person wants to do something and you don't want to go along. You want to have your own thinking. You want to make sure that what you're thinking about, that you're disciplined to understand it, that you're disciplined to know right from wrong, that you're disciplined to respond quickly to this adversity and to respond to it correctly. So to establish a powerful philosophy, and the best way to establish a new and powerful personal philosophy is to review your philosophy that you have now, and then refine that, and then you're going to revise it, and that's going to be your own personal philosophy. The philosophy that I had at 20 is not the philosophy that I have now, right? I've changed. I've grown. I'm a different person. I've refined my philosophy. It's been revised. And it's an ongoing, lifelong change. And it's a lifelong learning event. And it's exciting. I mean, it never gets old. You're always building and growing and being more than you can be. You're always pushing yourself. You're always out of your comfort zone. So nothing's ever dull. You don't get stuck in a rut. It's always something exciting to look forward to. So to review, you change what you know, and you will continue to believe, decide, and act in the contrary manner of your best interests. So if you don't change what you know, then you're going to continue to believe and decide. We just talked about that, right? The definition of insanity. You can't do the same things over and over and expect to get more, or to get better, or to be better. So you have to move. You have to grow. So you're going to refine it. You're going to find new, accurate, better ideas and information that will enable you to become more, to be more, to live more. And where are you going to find this? You're going to find it in books, and you're going to find it on CDs, and you're going to find it at school, and you're going to find it from a mentor. And you're going to find it in your heart. You're just going to, you're going to have to search for it. It's not something that's just going to fall out of the sky and hit you in the head. But now that you know about it, now that I'm telling you about it like somebody told me, you can search it out, right? There's tons of information. And you can build your own personal philosophy. So you're going to revise it because you're going to use the new knowledge that you've gained to revise your personal philosophy to lead you toward an exceptional life. So as you gain more knowledge, you revise your philosophy. And it grows and it gets better and you become more. So how do we become more? We learn from other people's experiences and failures. If you see somebody who doesn't look left and right and crosses the street and gets hit, use that experience to look left and right, right? If you see your parents like my parents, if you see what they've done wrong, if you can look back, then you can learn from your parents. Maybe you can learn from a friend who ended up in a situation that you didn't want to be in. Learn from their mistakes. You don't have to make all the mistakes. You can learn from somebody else's. But you can also learn from somebody's success. How do you do that? That's your mentor. Maybe that's a professor that you find that you like a lot and that you want to be like that person. Maybe it's one of your friends who's moving forward and is doing what you want to do. Maybe you get an internship and meet somebody at that internship and they help you move forward in your career. Become a good listener. You know, Judge Judy says you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And that's true. Be a good listener. And listening isn't just being quiet, but being aware and observant. Become a good observer. Again, to learn from other people's experience, you have to observe them. Capitalize on the power of positive influence. Put yourself in positive situations. Get out of the negative ones. When I started my journey, I had friends that were negative. They weren't going where I wanted to go. They had issues that they weren't working on. They were combative. They were into drugs. They were into too much alcohol. So I got rid of them. That's one thing you have to do because you're going to outgrow them. If your friends aren't growing with you, if they're not building their own personal philosophy, and they can't get a grasp on that, eventually you're going to outgrow them. And you have to leave them because they're a negative influence on you, and you don't want that. You want to find a group of friends that are positive. Read all the books. I have my personal library when I started with Jim Rohn was romance novels. Now I have a room full of books. I have a library, something I never thought I would ever have. I never even thought about having a library. But I buy some books and I have the CDs. Instead of listening to music in my car, I listen to CDs. I've listened to Jim Rohn CDs. I listen to Dr. Stanley CDs. I listen to, just whoever I have found that resonates with me and my philosophy and who I want to be. I listen to CDs in the car. It's a great place to learn. Keep a professional journal. This journal, I can't tell you how important it is. And what the journal is a daily journal of what you've done. It's a daily journal of your journey. So you can see, if you sit down at night and write down things that you did that day, things that you said, people that you met, and you take the time to look at it, you can see the ones that are going to influence you to live, give you results of a great life, and ones that are going to give you results to live a mediocre life. And you can make changes right then. And that's enough. Put that on there twice, huh? Okay, so the formula of success. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. A few simple disciplines. So you begin by changing your daily errors into daily disciplines and see results quickly. What are your daily errors and how are you going to figure out what they are? In your journal, right? If you're the kind of person who gets up late and you're running late and you're stressed out and you're getting to class at the last second, that could possibly be an error. And how can you fix that? 15 minutes earlier. Get up 15 minutes earlier. If you're the type of person who tends to do your schoolwork at the last minute, you might want to change. That could be an error in your life. That maybe you need to look at that, change it, and put more time. Give yourself more time to do the work. To change ourselves, we must begin with those few basics that affect the way we think. The few basics that affect the way we think. So you have to change your thinking, right? Now you're looking at yourself. You're starting to see your errors. You're writing in your journal. You're late for this class. You let yourself off the hook. You decided, oh, it's raining outside. I'm not going to class today. Don't do that. Don't let yourself off. That is lack of discipline. If you're going to let yourself off in one area, you're letting yourself off in another. Don't ever do that. Get up. Go. Live that commitment that you made when you signed up for school. Change the course of your life by spending more time refining your personal philosophy. That's another discipline. Spend 15 minutes, either in the morning or in the evening, and write down what you did that day or the day before. Look at it and see what results it gave you. You were late for class. What was that result? You did your paper at the last minute, and instead of getting an A, you got a C. What result is that? What can you do to change that? How can you change your thinking about it? And then, one of the exciting things about the formula for success is that the results are almost immediate, right? You start getting up 15 minutes earlier, then you're getting to class on time. That's almost an immediate result. You're giving yourself extra time to do your papers. You go from a C to an A. Almost immediate result. The magic of new disciplines is that they will cause us to amend our thinking. If we start today, then today will be the first day of a new life leading to a better future. Start today. Just start today looking at what you need to do to make your life better. Look at these errors that you're creating. Are you hanging with the wrong friends? Did you stay out too late the night before a big test? Are you not studying when you should? Do you have a job? Are you late to work? That's not going to work. That's not going to lead you to a good life. The dangers of neglect. This is a big one. This is where the rubber meets the road. Okay, the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do, right? Those are the things. Not getting up 15 minutes early, not going to class, not spending time to study. It's easy not to do them, but that's neglect. The primary reason most people are not doing as well as they can be summed up in a single word: neglect. Neglect to do the small things every day. If you neglect to brush your teeth, what happens? They fall out of your head, right? One small thing, brush your teeth. It's the same principle when it comes to anything in your life. Small neglects have a way of becoming a major oversights with the passage of enough time. Not doing the things we know we should causes us to feel guilty, and that guilt leads to an erosion of your self-confidence. We all know that. I'm sure you've all been there. And failure to do the things that we could and should do result in the creation of a negative spiral. And once it's started, it's difficult to stop. And as our self-confidence diminishes, so does the level of our activity. And as our activity diminishes, our results come decline. And as our results suffer and our attitude begins to weaken, and as our attitude begins to shift from positive to negative, our self-confidence diminishes even more, and so on and so on. Right. Let me show you what neglect looks like. This is what neglect looks like. I neglected over the years to take care of myself. I neglected to get up and do the exercise. And now I'm 80 pounds overweight. Right? This is neglect. Now, I didn't neglect other areas of my life. I have a great husband. I have a great job. I have a great future. I feel good. I have a fulfilling life. I have a lot of the treasures of life and just a few of the trinkets. But how am I going to enjoy that life with this neglect? Don't do it to yourself. You see this? Where is it? Difficult stop once started. I have a difficult road ahead of me, right? So what are the disciplines I have to do? I started last week. I started watching what I'm eating. I started trying to walk. But it hurts. It hurts to walk. Why? Because I'm out of shape and I'm fat. And I'm 57 years old. So I beg you, don't do the disciplines every day. Don't allow yourself to get into a state of neglect in any part of your life. Physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Try to stay in balance in all of those areas, or you end up like this. Learn to listen to the right voice in your mind. The voice of success is constantly struggling to be heard about the loud promptings of the voice of failure. So it's easy because the voice of failure can be easier. Oh, don't go to school, don't worry about it. Just lay in bed and enjoy yourself. Oh, don't get up and go run, it's raining. Right? This is what you get. All right, so we must keep a watchful eye on the subtle differences between success and failure. And they can be subtle. It can be just a slight change. Maybe you meet a new friend that likes to go out and have a beer on the weekends. They can nudge you a little bit here and nudge you a little bit there. And before you know it, instead of walking this way where you want to, you're over here somewhere, right? You're 20 pounds heavier, 30 pounds heavier. You got to be careful. It's subtle. You have to be aware. You have to be thinking. You have to be growing. You have to make sure that you're writing in your journal so that you can know if you're getting nudged. And be ever mindful of the inner urging that would have us repeating costly errors, right, rather than developing new disciplines. When I was laying in bed thinking, oh, I should get up and walk, and I didn't, right? I nudged myself. I lost my focus on myself. We must each make our own conscious decision to reach out for the good life through the refinement of our thoughts and the careful examination of the potential consequences of our accumulated errors. Only I can lose this weight, right? Only you can build a life that's going to be fulfilled with happiness and the treasures of life. Nobody can do it for you. Only you. We cannot allow ourselves to think that the errors don't matter. We can't allow ourselves to think, well, if I only miss one class, it doesn't matter. But you're letting your discipline slip, and it does matter. You can't allow yourself to not think that it doesn't matter. We must not allow ourselves to assume that the lack of discipline in one small area of our lives will not make a difference. It does. Here it is. I'll show it to you. It will. And we must not allow ourselves to believe that we can have all that we want to have and become all that we wish to be without making any changes in the way we think about life. We must. And I know. I've known this for years, and I still ended up like this. And you know, I'm at the point where I've got a job interview, actually on Monday. So I'm going to leave school as an honor student. I'm going to leave school starting a new career at 57. And I'm excited about it, and I'm happy about it, and I already have a job interview, and I'm hoping to leave school with a job. And the only thing in my life right now that is an issue is my weight. Because now that I've gotten to where I want to go, I have to think, I have to do something about this. How am I going to continue going forward if I can't walk a mile, if it hurts my back to do certain things? And at my age, I'll just start going downhill, and it will spiral more and more. So this is my new struggle, right? I've gotten myself through school. I've found myself a job. I'm here where I want to be with everything except for my physical issues. So now I'm going to start focusing on those. So attitude. Now that we have determined our philosophy, how do we feel about what we know determines our attitude, right? So the past. We can't beat ourselves up about the past. Faults or failures or losses, the events of the past, both good and bad, are part of our life experiences. You can't beat yourself up over it. It's done. Let it go. Present. If our current rewards are small, then our past efforts were small. Those are the disciplines. If you're not doing the disciplines and you're not putting the effort in, then your results will be small. And if today's effort is small, then the future reward will be the same as well. So if you're not making the efforts now, if you're not sowing the seeds to build a future, then it's going to be the same as it is now. If you're not working, if you're not putting the effort in, if you're not doing the disciplines. The unique ability we have for investing our past experiences and borrowing inspiration from the future is an incredible force. What does that mean? For me, it meant when I went back to school at 52, I don't have time like some people do, right? I had a career. I was a commercial photographer. I started at 19, and I did that until I was into my 40s. Then I had time. I had a little bit more time to build what I wanted. Now, I have to shorten that time. And so I had to come out of school with a job. That was something that I knew I had to do. And I pulled from my past experiences on how I built my career in photography, and I put them with my present disciplines to build a future. My goal was to come out of school with a job, a good job, making good money, because I don't have the time to build this career. I have to almost hit it at a run. And now I have a 3-year plan to work. I'm doing instructional design as an instructional designer, and then I'm going to go contract, and I want to be able to work 6-month contract a year and have 6 months off, because I don't ever want to retire, but as I get older, there are some other things that I'd like to do and see. And right now, knock on wood, other than my physical, my weight, I have the opportunity to be I'm right on course. So the activity, we eventually must convert our knowledge and our feelings into activity. Again, you can have as many dreams as you want, but if you're not performing the activity to get to where you need to be, then you're just dreaming. It's never going to go anywhere. So the smallest of disciplines, practice every day, start an incredible process that can change your life forever, right? Just the smallest of disciplines that you probably should have been doing anyway. For me, it's watching what I eat, getting up and going for a walk, whatever I need to do to, those disciplines to help me lose weight. But those aren't the only disciplines that I practice every day. I never watch television. I read the books. My degree is in technical communication and information design, but halfway through I wanted to become an instructional designer. So what have I done to move myself? What disciplines have I done? Well, for one, I started learning software that I knew I was going to need. It's like Storyline 2. I bought the software, and I practiced on it. I did the tutorials. I joined lynda.com, and I learned how to use Excel better, and I learned how to use PowerPoint better, and I did tutorials on writing, and I did tutorials. I just all the time. I'm doing something all the time to move myself forward. We cannot rule the city until we can rule our spirit. We cannot rule the nation until we can rule ourselves. This is a metaphor for if you can't rule yourself, how are you going to rule your life? How are you going to build a life? How are you going to have children and teach them what they need to know if you can't even do it yourself? You have to learn this stuff. It's important. It's more important than going to school. It's more important than learning math. It's more important than learning history. Because you can learn those things, but without this, they're just things. You have to learn to rule yourself. We cannot design our future until we have redesigned our habits. If you're not in the present, living the life that you want, it's because of your habits. It's because of your disciplines. It's because of your lack of personal development. We cannot increase our rewards until we increase our level of intelligent activity. Intelligent activity. I remember one time when I was, I guess in my 20s, doing photography, and I had a friend, and we exercised all the time. Believe it or not, I was a size 3. And we ran at lunch, and we did aerobics at night. And she turned to me one day when we were running, and she said, you know, if we put as much time and energy into our career as we do into exercising, we could go a lot further. And for some reason that was seared in my brain. I can remember where we were. I can remember it was a sunny day, and we were in Dallas, Texas, and we were running down in the Turtle Creek area. And she said that, and I thought, you know what? She's right. If I would spend as much time on my career, I could do intelligent activity. Activities that for my career, not just jogging around. So it's intelligent activities, the activities that help build your life. Results. All right, so here we have the results of the harvest that come from our past efforts. That's how you know where you need to change. That's what your journal is for. We're starting new. Let's look where we are, you know. Let's say you're 28 and you're living at home. That's not good, right? That's not a result. How did you get there? Why are you there? Look at it. What do you have to change? What disciplines need to happen? What sort of people do you need to attract in your lives? Look at the people that are part of your inner circle. Are they good people? Are they people that are growing? Are they people that sit around drinking all day? Are they people that smoke pot all the time? You have to look at that. You have to look at these people. Are they holding you back, or are they pushing you forward? Might be time to make a change. Are we well respected by our coworkers and our neighbors? What do people think about you? Have you ever thought about that? Not what you think about yourself, but have you observed how other people treat you? What do they think about you? Do we honor our beliefs? What are your beliefs? Do you know what they are? And if you know them, are you honoring them? Or are you throwing them by the wayside so you can go do what you want to do? Or you can go be with the friends that you want to be, whether they're good for you or not. Do we try to see someone else's point of view? You know, sometimes our parents try to give us a point of view. Maybe we don't look at it, but no, you know what? You might want to, because they might be right and you might be wrong. Are we listening to our children? I don't know how many of you have children, but it's important to listen to your children. Because they're young and they're innocent, and what comes out of their mouth is exactly what they feel. They don't have those filters. And if they're telling you something, you need to listen to it. Do we express sincere appreciation for our parents, spouses, and friends? This is a hard one. I'll tell you that my mother passed away 7 years ago. And I can say that I probably didn't always express sincere appreciation for her. And I miss her a lot. So, excuse me, I'm going to tear up here. But please, look at this. Take a look at that in your life. Because how you treat these people, your parents and your spouse and your friends, is important, right? If you can't treat them right, then you certainly can't treat yourself right. Because it takes love of yourself to put back on the people of your life that are important. And one day they'll be gone, and you'll have regrets. And what do we talk about regrets? Regrets come from lack of discipline, from not looking at ourselves, from not being the person that we can be. Are we honest and ethical in our business transactions? One of the worst things you can do in a business transaction is gossip. Those of you that are into gossiping, those of you that are into hating, those of you who go on to Facebook and say things about people, that post bad posts, that is not good. It just brings you down. It doesn't make you feel good, right? If you're doing it, stop. Find something else. Change it. Make one of your disciplines to post one inspirational thing a day for your friends on Facebook. And it also goes for business. You know, you don't want to gossip at your business. You know, you don't want to think, oh, well, nobody's watching. I'll just, take a nap for an hour. You know, that kind of stuff you just don't want to do. Are you known for your unwavering integrity amongst your peers? What is integrity? Do you have a definition for it? Do you really know what it is? One of my favorite definitions was integrity is what you do when nobody's looking. Right? Do you park in the handicap place when nobody's looking? Do you steal money out of somebody's drawer? Do you go into somebody's office and eat the cookie off the desk? Or go through because you don't have money for food or lunch, you go through the refrigerator at work and steal somebody's lunch? I mean, what is integrity? Talking behind somebody's back? Is that integrity? No. Take a look at that word. It's an important word to know. And it's also an important word for you to come up with your definition of what it means to you. Are we happy with whom and what we have become? Are you happy with yourself? I mean, every day, do you put forth the effort that you can? Are you happy with who you were with? Are you happy with your friends? What have you become? Are you the person that you want to be? If not, then you need to start looking at some changes and coming up with some disciplines. So lifestyle. The final blending of our philosophy and of our attitude and of our activities and of our results is what creates this final personal quest that we call lifestyle. Lifestyle is how we choose to live and how we design our lives. It is a sophisticated understanding of the differences between the trinkets of life and the treasures of life. Sophisticated understanding. The treasures of life are not money. Success is not money. You can have all the money in the world and still have none of the treasures of life. The treasures of life are family and your friends. Our happiness is giving and being a part of the world to make it a better place. Is leaving somebody with a better life. Paying it forward. Teaching your children how to be a good human. It's not all about money. It's not about the clothes on your back. It's not about carrying a Coach purse. It's not about getting your nails done, and it certainly isn't about how you look. Because you can be the prettiest person in the world and be as ugly on the inside, because the outside means nothing. It's what's on the inside. It's what's in your heart that makes the difference. So you got to be sophisticated about what those treasures are. So we talked about Jim Rohn, the 5 major pieces of a life puzzle. We talked about your philosophy. We talked about attitude. We talked about how without activity, you go nowhere. The results you get tomorrow come from the activity you did today and lifestyle. So you start with your philosophy and you combine all these things and it gives you your lifestyle that you want. Now I just told you about Jim in this book. I wonder how many of you will actually go out and hunt it down. How many of you will get on Amazon and buy it for $3? Huh? You can get it pretty cheap. How many of you will actually look at your life and make the changes that you need to? Again, the acknowledgement. Every word and every idea in this presentation is based on or taken from Jim Rohn's book. And I would like to give a heartfelt thank you to Jim for all that he has done for me and taught me to live an exceptional life. I have my flaws, this one in particular, but I wouldn't be the person I am today without him making this journey. And I hope that you too will try. Just try it. Get the book. Read the book. Because once you know it and once you read it, it's really hard to spend your life without thinking about it. Thank you.